wonderful beer from a very green brewery. And when we talk about New Glarus as in the Spotted Cow is the beer that built New Glarus, this beer built New Belgium. The New Belgium Brewery is a spectacular facility in Fort Collins, Colorado. Highly recommend you go, but they are very, very good, as much as they can be as a brewer, at being green. They were one of the first ones to sign on in Colorado. As far as I know, they are buying all of their electricity from wind producers. Yes, it's the same electrons, but they're willing to pay more for it for what it does. They also have really pushed down their water usage. Breweries, as you might imagine, use a lot of water, far beyond just the beer that's coming out for all the cleaning and stuff. But they've done a really good job of reducing the amount of water that they're using. And then on top of that, making sure that their waste stream is very much neutral before it hits the sewer system. So it really isn't very low impact on the community.
Yeah.
So the Fat Tire is just, it's sort of a boring cousin of a Belgian beer, of an easy drinking Belgian beer. There's a little bit of amber. There's a little bit of caramel malt to this. The yeast is very, very nice. Really gives it some character, but sort of a lightish amber.
Would you call it a Belgian blonde ale? Kind of, sort of.
I would call it a Fat Tire.
All right,
I'm
very
going to give them real props. It's really its own style. It's not really copying anybody's. First thing I get on this is the biscuit. It's it's like a toasted graham cracker. The nose really reminds me an awful lot of a graham cracker.
Yeah, that's an excellent descriptor.
But then once you get past the biscuity character of it, the next thing you pick up is the fruitiness. And there's some beautiful apple aroma in this, and maybe even just a hint of ripe pear, and not generic Macintosh apples, more of the heirloom kind of apple. And that's the fermentation. That's letting the ale, when you talked about a little bit of fruitiness in the Kolsch, this is truly an ale, and they're really letting this ferment a little bit warmer because the yeast will push off some of those esters, and in this case, it's the acetaldehyde, the apple.
Yeah, but as far as Belgian yeast goes, it's pretty restrained. It's got
and I'm not really sure that
that they're using
Belgian yeast. I think it's just that they're pushing the yeast at a slightly warmer temperature to get it to be expressive.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the American craft brewers have gone with fairly neutral ale strains. This one has its own character. The biscuit comes through on the tongue right away. And when it starts out, you're like, wow, it's really malty, it's biscuity, it's kind of sweet, and you're worried that it's going to be too much. What are they going to do to make it work at the end? And it's fun the way they dry this one out. This is dried out not so much by hops. The hops, there's some hop bitterness there, but it doesn't hit you over the head at all.
Yeah.
It really is that biscuit character, kind of like waffles through and just kind of cleans it off at the back end. There's also a really pretty level of CO2 on this to help dry it out some.
Right. I am catching just a tiny hint of dustiness in the grain,
Yeah.
but that might have a little effect of drying out the palate a little bit too, and not in a bad way. Just a slight hint of it.
And this is a standard weight beer. Alcohol's 5.2 by volume, so it's just a smidge more than
Your
standard
normal,
Americans. But this is perfectly at home at any picnic you want to throw. Sorry, this is where I'm going for a brat.
Okay.
I'll actually move up to, and you can have a pretty substantial brat with this one as well. You don't have to have any of those delicate little ones. You can have the
manly brats.
the ones that have got a little bit more character to them. And certainly anything you're going to grill would be great with this.
Sure.
Including even, because of the biscuit nature, you could even be serving this with grilled fruit, like grilled pineapple, grilled papaya, grilled mango, doing that kind of stuff. And the biscuit would actually be a really pretty counterpoint against it.
You do some fancy grilling, you do over there.
Hey, I like to eat. It's not all about beer.
It's not.
No, sometimes it's not. What do you think, Jeremy? What did you want to serve this with?
I think your take on just almost anything you can put on a grill is pretty good.
Yep.
I think this is a real picnic kind of. I could see this at a picnic in the dead of summer, and it would do just fine, you know.
And it's
And
not,
very refreshing too, by the
Yeah,
way.
it is.
Would-
It's a
would
very-
cool you off very nicely.
Yep. Well, Jeremy, what else do we have to say about Fat Tire? Not an awful lot. It's just a really easy drinking beer. You can see why they were able to build that huge, beautiful showpiece in Fort Collins based on this beer.
Yeah,
It just
and they have a lot of very good beers.
They
This
do.
This is their flagship. But
This
if
is
you
their-
get
this
bored of this, they've got a lot
this is
more.
their cash
where that
cow.
came from. Yeah. All right, to cash cows.
cheers.